Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us at our third collaborator interview as part of Bergafest. Today, we are going to be interviewing friend and composer Suzanne Farrin. We met Suzanne at Banff in 2019, the last time we were doing anything. Met her performing her piece Undecim, which is going to be on our upcoming debut album. Suzanne is based in New York. She is currently on faculty and chair of music at Hunter College, and we are so excited to be with her today. Yay.
Oh, I'm happy to be with you all. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So my first question for you
Mhm.
is, when did you start composing?
So, like songwriting and fooling around started before I took piano lessons, actually. So that's how I got piano lessons, was because I was writing songs all the time. And so my parents say that I was doing that before I could walk and, reciting whatever, my little songs from cribs and things like that. But I do remember, fooling around, writing little songs, putting them in a journal, and really, really wanting to learn to play the piano so that I could do other things. And so that's how it started. So that was like, in the single digits, and then I got piano lessons around age 7. Yeah.
Um, and what was the first piece that you wrote? Do you remember?
I do. The
Tell us
first,
about it.
yes, the first piece I really wrote that was like I played it at my piano recital kind of thing. So I started doing a thing like once I started taking piano lessons, I would play whatever I was supposed to play, and then the Bach Convention or something, and then I would play one of my own compositions. And the first one was basically a very, very poor knockoff of the Papageno aria, um, which is between the right hand and the left hand. Da da dee da 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 da, because I learned how to play the 4 chord da 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 1 chord da 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 5 4 5 5 1, like, so that was it, and everybody in my little town was very impressed.
That's amazing.
Wow, I love that.
Yes.
So, were you taking classical piano lessons then? I'm
Yeah.
just curious because I feel like often in classical instruction, there tends to be kind of a divide between learning pieces and writing pieces. Was
Oh
that
yeah.
something that your teacher talked to you about, or did you just kind of like maybe you didn't even think about it? I don't know. Was like, did you have an awareness of that?
Yeah, I didn't think about it at all. I just always did something of my own while I was doing other things. And and my teachers either tolerated that or they really helped me with that. And I feel like my piano teachers, they were always local women, from the town I lived in, and they were my composition teachers, really. Especially one. Her name was Mrs. Rockney, Laura Rockney, and she lived in Westford, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to walk down to her house to take lessons, and she taught me things about Bach that I still think about today. And she really helped me grow as a pianist. I think I probably played better during those years of my life than any other time. But she also would just notice what I was doing, and like a lot of these piano teachers would be sort of insecure in a way of saying like, well, I don't really know anything about composition, but what you just did sounded is like a diminished chord, and these are what diminished chord looks like. And so she would just show me, here's a diminished chord, and here's how it works, and she would show me, and I remember just being like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then I would go and write something that had a diminished chord in it, all over the place, just diminished, wall to wall diminished. and and then I would come back and show her, and she was very supportive, and a wonderful musician herself. She had gone to Ithaca College, I think, and studied piano. So she was really well trained, and she was really, really encouraging in a soft and supportive way. In some way, they were some of my best composition teachers, I would say. Hmm.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So, your piece that we're going to be recording later this year is an earlier piece for you. I think it was written in 2009. And We would love if you
Yeah.
could tell us a little bit about how that piece came about, maybe who it was written for. I know that the performers were really integral to the work itself at the time. That's
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, for me, it feels like a very early piece. Uh, but yet, you know, unmistakably mine. It's, I can't like, oh, yeah, I totally see myself in it. uh, so I wrote it after having written pieces for Julia Lichten and Cal Wiersma, two string players I love and admire. And I really felt connected to their playing and connected to their personalities as musicians and as people. And then Laurie Smuckler and Ira Weller, luckily, were also in that circle at this is my first teaching job at Purchase College. And the four of them were just so special to me as kind of institutions of their own, each one individually. And I really wanted to write a piece that tried to go into their worlds, each one. And for Laurie, for whatever reason, I felt this very like Stravinsky-ian color, and I know it's just sound like she's an interpreter of Stravinsky. I mean, she's like Mendelssohn and all this, but I felt very connected to give her sounds like that, and very open and very kind of like very full, and and for Ira and I talked a lot about poetry at the time, so his sections were very inspired by the poetics that we were discussing, and then with Cal and I had worked together so deeply on this solo I wrote for him called Time is a Cage, and I love his playing. I love the ease of which he plays, and this sort of physical comfort that you see from him on stage is something I really was inspired by. And so I wanted to give him things that physically sort of represented that, similar to the piece we had done together. And I was sort of interested in giving him things that kind of moved between voices. And then Julia, is one of the great muses of my musical life, and I had wrote an extended I wrote her a viola piece just to be a jerk. Yeah, no. Here, Julia, here's a viola piece. No, I wrote her a cello piece, obviously. And I sort of took as a point of departure some of the really athletic things we had been doing that I had written for her in the solo. And at the same time, around that time, just after, I think, so I was already kind of leaning towards this sort of big virtuosic viola piece that I was writing for Antoine Tamastit, who's based in France. So that I see already stuff of that was starting to come out, and I was testing some of those gestures in the quartet that ended up being kind of fully realized for viola later on.
That's awesome. And so the piece is called Undecim, which means 11 in Latin, and we're often unsure of how to kind of explain that connection to audience members because it's really woven into the piece.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear a little more about that, just in your own words.
Sure. It's a little convoluted. It's yeah, the connection to Undecim was that I was thinking about parts and wholes, and I think for me that was a natural way of thinking for individuals becoming a quartet. I thought a lot about this sort of meta instrument. I think around the same time I wrote an article on Lachenmann's Greedo, and so I was thinking a lot about how do these manys become one, and what is one, and how do divisions create a unity, and with so many parts that are so sort of opposite of each other, and the paradoxes within that. So I thought of 10 sections. This piece was like 10 miniatures. It was also a way for me to encourage myself to keep writing because the quartet format was pretty intimidating to me. So I felt like I needed kind of like, okay, just like one more part, and then just going to take another little part, and you're just going to keep going, and it's going to be a piece, you know. Um, and so it's 10 little moments, and then the 11 is what happens when they're all together.
That makes sense. I want to read your article.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we're going to be working on that piece,
Oh,
later this year, later this
oh,
semester,
great.
actually.
So
Oh,
exciting.
great. Oh, great. Yeah, it was a sort of semi-analysis, but it was really about the recording at the time, which was by the Arditi. It was the only one. It was before Jack, so it was a kind of review analysis of that recording that had just come out. Yeah, that was really revolutionary to me.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So going in a slightly different direction, we haven't seen you in a year and a half, which is sad.
I
What
know.
have you been up to these days? What's
Oh,
going
a
on?
lot of washing dishes. I mean, yeah, fourth grade math. Actually, he's really good at math, so gratefully he's teaching me how to do fourth grade math. Well, you know, it's been a year. It's definitely been a year. I'm really lucky to be, you know, in a good situation with a loving family, and we've been able to hang on to each other, and you know, some real challenges along the way. So it took me some time. On the one hand, I had to quickly adjust compositionally because there were some projects that really needed to go forward. You know, other people invested in them, and musicians who needed to be able to play them. And so I felt that I needed to keep going in the immediate aftermath of the shutdown to keep those things alive. And then it was difficult to write. I really just you know, suffering is not a good recipe for art making, actually. And there's no way to romanticize that. So, you know, we stayed in New York. We love our city, and it suffered a lot. And you know, the endless sirens will always be part of my sort of sound memory of that experience. You know, so keeping children focused on the future, keeping students healthy as much as possible, staying connected wherever I can, wherever I could, also at that time. And then slowly, my imagination started to come back, gratefully.
Yeah. I'm seeing that instrument behind you. Is that
yeah.
the Markno?
Yeah, that's my own.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Onde?
Sure. I just played a concert last week, which was so incredible to do. I can't, you guys know because you've been able to strategize and keep rehearsing, which is so great. I've seen you do your concerts online with the masks on and everything. So, you know, I'm sure there was a time when you weren't, and then, right? How long did you go without rehearsing?
About 5 months.
Oh yeah. See that, like it you know, something that I find just kind of amazing is like we're talking about when we started doing all these things. You ladies all started super young, right? I know Amy, you started playing the viola later, but you started music lessons super young. Yeah. So I mean, not many of us in this world that we're in, you know, it's not a new hobby. So it's really a whole life built around having that in it. It's like eating and sleeping and practicing and rehearsing. You know, it's an integrated part of our lives. Our brains are wired around having that stimulation. So for you guys to go 5 months without it, you know, it's almost dangerous. Could be, right? Yeah.
Pretty weird during those times.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
It's very
Okay in the beginning, but then you're like, why do I feel weird?
was very cathartic when we did get back together too.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, that's how I felt last week. I got to play with friends. I got to rehearse, and it was terrifying, and then it was incredible. And so that's the instrument that went. So my life as an interpreter is with the onde. So the onde was conceived of during the First World War in France by an electrical engineer and cellist named Maurice Martineau. And the mythology that he reports for how it was created was that he was at the top of the Eiffel Tower working on, the signal technology that was radio technology. The war would be won through the waves, they said. And he was looking at, the knobs and all of that in the tuners, and he had this flash of, mankind's greatest imagination is always going towards weapons and violence, and all of this work is directed in this way to kill other humans, and he was very depressed about that. And so he thought, and the war was not going well for France at that time, just as a note, so it wasn't a happy time. So he says that he had this moment of a flash of a moment that either he could take that technology and create something beautiful out of it, or he was going to throw himself off the tower. And obviously he chose to make an instrument. And I started thinking about this over the years of playing this one. Is like any kind of instrument building is a pretty optimistic act. Right? It's a pretty beautiful thing to dedicate yourself to do. Like even a luthier of an instrument that we're very familiar with, like any of your instruments, a guitar, it's a really beautiful, optimistic, humanitarian endeavor to build something that's just going to bring joy and frustration, of course, to the player, but, a certain percentage of joy to everyone, and 100% of joy, hopefully, to the audience that gets to hear it.
Well, when you travel with the onde, how do you? Because I didn't realize how big it was. Actually,
it's super annoying. I regret my life decisions every time. Every time I get in the cab, I'm just like, why did I do this? So it folds up in a really cute way. I can show you if you want, but it folds up in a really cute way, and then it becomes basically a really heavy, fragile rectangle because I can take the legs off, and then that goes in a case, and then it goes on a seat like a cello. Yeah.
I didn't realize you had to buy it. Well, I guess it makes sense now, but yeah.
Yeah.
You had to buy an extra seat.
Yeah. One bad experience, and that was it. She was not getting checked again. Yeah.
I can't wait to see you perform live.
Oh, I can't wait to see you guys perform live.
That people are like starting, like when you said that you did your first performance in a while, like that makes me kind of happy because I'm starting to hear that more and more,
Yes.
And yeah.
But
yes. Oh God, I'm so excited.
It's a hopeful sign. I know. I had no idea because I was so scared to do it, honestly, because it's like, ugh, what is this? Can I even do it? I don't know. But even just like for me, because I had, I'm not working like you guys. Just like tuning again, like just putting something in tune was like, it just did something. And hearing something get better over time, like, oh my God, I missed that so much. Once you get to the momentum of something being like, okay, now it's good. Now I believe in it. And so now where can we go now that I believe in this thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so necessary. I had no idea.
We definitely felt that too when we first got back together, I think.
I bet.
It was also hard to tune when we first got together.
Distinctly
never take this for granted.
Yeah. Distinctly remember in our first rehearsal, I think with masks, somebody's like, I just can't hear with my mask on.
I know. I can't breathe the sound in.
Yeah.
I know. It's a struggle. We were just like, ugh, in the beginning, and the onde is really surgical. Like it doesn't have friction in it, so there's no like dirt in the sound. So it's like the slightest bit and it sounds, whoa, you know, way off. So
How long have you had that one?
this
Or
one,
is
10 years.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Another thing happened during quarantine though is that you got a dog.
Yes, the greatest
Can I
thing
see?
ever. Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Wake her up.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Lily.
Hi. Hey guys. I'm Lily.
Oh, she's perfect.
Hello, friends. Hi.
Is she nice?
She's a little nice, yeah. Hi. I'll let you go. Okay.
Hi, Lily.
Hi. They say hi, Lily. Now she's shaking. Yeah, she's good. She's cute. Hi. My kids say she's my best child. Yeah, you are. Yeah, she's the love of my life.
I'm so happy. How did that change like your quarantine life? Like, definitely improved it, right? I hope.
Oh, definitely improved it. I mean, especially once she stopped, like, you know, peeing on our bed. That was a low moment. Yeah. But yeah, but you know, it's like any creature you bring into your life for love. It's like everything's better. Yeah, we love her.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I had to.
Well, you inspired me. I mean, you're my dog mommy.
I love that. We really have to get our dogs together soon.
I tell you, she especially loves friendly Shih Tzus.
Aw,
Like, she was playing the other day with this one, and I was like, why can't this be Louise?
Does the owned like bother her?
Sometimes she's like, no. And she looks at me like, oh God. You know, especially since I'm a mom, so I'm like running around the house all the time. So she's just like, woman, my God, now we're going to this room. Now we're going to this room. And then she likes nap. I call it nap stalking. So like if I pause in one area, she'll come over and like take a nap. Like, oh, this is safe to take a nap. And then she's got to get up. And so she's napping here now.
Are you gonna take her to Hunter when it's in person next year?
Maybe. I don't know how I'm gonna not be with her.
Very brilliant.
Yeah. But she also will hang out with when I practice, and she'll sleep right down in that area.
Aww.
Yeah. I don't know how you can sleep through the own because it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's not a sound you can ignore, but
Yeah, my boyfriend sent me a video of Louise listening to a Chris Cerrone piece, and it just has like all these like high harmonics, and Louise was not happy.
no.
She's like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Cerrone.
Yeah, Lily sometimes really doesn't appreciate my practicing.
Yeah, we've been lucky sometimes when Louise can come to our rehearsals. And she
Louise
just,
loves
yeah.
Undechen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so honored.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
Yeah,
Like-
but then one time, I guess like my neighbor, we've been rehearsing in my apartment back in New York, and one time I guess my neighbor got a dog, and and then Louise like
Was not.
yeah, and we were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a loud bark for a small dog.
Well, she learned some bad habits, like honestly, during like quarantine, because I
Yeah.
don't know.
My kids have learned a lot of bad habits, you know, like it's like you just had to lower your standards.
I know everything.
I've
is-
learned a lot of bad habits.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'm learning how to put certain things off, you know. That's okay. That's definitely not a good thing that we're doing, but we're just going to deal with it later. Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we're gonna go to our last question now.
Okay.
So we mentioned earlier that this is the third collaborator interview for Bergafest, and that yesterday night we had a listening party where we listened to your music, and
Oh.
this is yeah, that's fun. So this is
Sorry.
This is something we've been asking. We just like asking people in general, like what else or like what music have you been listening to lately?
Oh gosh. Yeah. what have I been listening to lately? I've been obsessively listening to different things. I had very strange habits during this period. I was listening to a lot of Grisé at the beginning. And I found myself kind of really doing something that I hadn't been doing much of, which was sit down and actually listen, start to finish, to something. Not while I was doing something else, not while I was on the subway, actually really letting listening be the only activity of the moment, which felt really good. And it felt, in a way, it was sort of the first stage of recovery back into a musical life, because I felt like it kind of like woke up parts of my thinking that had sort of gotten lost in the stress and all of that. So that was one stage. And then a lot of kind of retro, I sort of went through a nostalgia period. I think it happened to a lot of people. Like it was, the baggy pants, the oversized clothes, it just brought me back to my childhood. So there was a lot of pop music and dance music, from a lot of Salt and Pepper and a lot of like stuff that was just joyous. And I also listened to, so I would listen to very few things on repeat. And the last thing I would mention that I listened to that was really important to me for some reason is the over and over and over again, the letter scene from Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin. So it's the scene where, the main character reads this letter out loud. It's just so beautiful. And I listened to the opera a bunch of times, and that particular scene just over and over again, harmonically, I just love it. And it's so touching. And I don't know, it just fed all. And this is the orchestration, like these just octaves moving through the orchestra in these really interesting ways. The colors just made me happy.
I need to listen to that.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's crazy. It's so good.
Do your kids listen to like the same music that you do?
Yeah, we listen to a lot of this. Yeah, I let my teenager really decide a lot of the music that's just played in the house. So he has really interesting taste in music, and he's a singer. So we listen to a lot of shanty songs and a cappella, and he really likes Andy Sandberg's hip hop group, whatever they're called.
I don't think I know.
Yeah, it's like a comedy,
I'll have to find out.
comedy hip hop. Yeah, so a lot of comedy hip hop.
Wait, is that Lonely Island?
Yes, Lonely Island. Lonely Island. Yes. Yes.
It's kind of a throwback, I feel like.
Oh, definitely. And it's because in the beginning when you'd play it, I'd be like, oh my God, it's Run DMC. No, it's not. Yeah. Yeah.
On one of our road trips back.
Yeah.
You have to watch the videos, though. The videos are like the important part.
Yes, it's true. It's true. The videos are very funny also. But if you just listen to the words, it's really good. And the music is not, it's like, it's made to be funny, but the music is pretty high quality, like they're good musicians. Yeah. Yeah. So the teenager does a lot of the playlist that's just going around. But they listen to classical music, and especially my older one. And the younger one is learning the guitar.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
Lovely.
in a, under some pressure from mom. When you have a second child, you just like try to get it right, like try to force him to do stuff.
That's funny.
Amazing. Well, Suzanne, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us about your piece and life, and just to catch up a bit. For those of you watching, you can catch our next concert on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can also check out our fundraiser at our Kickstarter, which you can find on our website and our social media, and in the link that we'll probably drop in the chat right now. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
So good to see you guys.